Hey guys, TC here with more answers to Robert's Lottery. And I'm up to question number 8. This was tough too. I had to think about this. The word grail gets thrown around a lot in the vinyl community. This is a grail. Robert wants to know how we think of grails and what we consider grails. I'd never really used the term before I got back into music. Before I was in the vinyl community, I never really thought of it, never heard that term. It was just like, oh, I'd really love to have that. To me, a grail is unreachable. I don't have the stuff I would consider true grails are usually so far out of my price range, I can't afford them. And I probably wouldn't spend that much money on them because they are so expensive. Examples of that would be the first 2 demo albums released by Hanson, as well as the albums that are out on vinyl that I don't have on vinyl. I have on CD, but I don't have on vinyl. Middle of Nowhere, Snowed In, and Anthem, I think is the other one. I'd love to have those on vinyl, but I haven't bought it. They're just too expensive. They range anywhere from $250 to $500, particularly the 2 self-release demo CDs. They're really expensive. The Danger Diabolic soundtrack on CD. Last time I looked, it was $240. I think it's come down since then. But why can't we do... You release so much stuff from Morricone on Record Store Day. When are we going to get a Diabolic release? Diabolic Record Store Day. And release it on CD too so I can get both of them. I love the music from Danger Diabolic. That movie is all-time fun. One of the all-time funnest movies. And the music is so out there. I love it. I've always loved it. The reissue from Record Store Day 2021, Drop 3, Philip Glass's Koyaanisqatsi. This one is actually affordable, but I just refuse to pay the flipper's price for it. It's still going for $175, $175 to $200. I have always loved the music from that movie. That movie is hauntingly beautiful, and if you've never seen it, I urge you to check it out. It's not going to be everybody's taste. I showed it to Kim, and she ended up very depressed at the end of it. The second film in the trilogy, Palaskotsi, really depressed me. The Scotzi trilogy by Jeffrey Reggio is an amazing pastiche of images and music, and it's a documentary of the way things have been. Life out of balance, life in transition, life in war, nay Q Scotzi, the third film. They're all amazing, and the soundtrack music has all been provided by Philip Glass. And that album from Koyaanisqatsi, the Orange Mountain music release, is the first time the entire score has been released in one package. There's been bits and pieces of it over the years. I'd love to have that too. Those are grails to me, because I can't afford them, or I won't pay that much for them. Do I have some stuff I consider grails in my collection? Yes. They weren't terribly expensive, but I never thought I'd have the chance to have them. And a couple of them I got as VCLT, which blew my mind. And they're awesome. Some of the grails I have, I mean, I'm not going to pull everything that I would consider a personal grail from my collection. But you know, I gave up years ago on ever getting these things when I was doing all digital. I downloaded a lot of them. But to actually get the vinyl or the CD, a couple of John Carroll's CDs that came out, I bought earlier this year at a decent price. Got both of them for under $50. They usually run $50 or $60 a piece. John was the young guy, the guy with the long hair in the Starline Vocal Band, and he's done some incredible solo stuff too. And both of those were great. I also picked up I've got one of the two albums by Fat City and both albums by Bill and Taffy, which of course were Bill and Taffy Danoff, the other two-thirds of Starline Vocal Band. The fourth one, Margot Chapman, does not have anything out solo that I can find. I'm a huge Starline Vocal Band fan, and I love all of their music outside of the band as well. I would consider those grails to me. Stuff like this is a grail too. This is a 1982? Yeah. This is the October 30th, 1982 edition of American Top 40 with Casey Kasem. I'm a big radio person. I collect radio transcriptions. I don't have as many of AT40 as I'd like to have because there's a ton of them and they're a fortune. I got this one by luck for $30, I think, on eBay. Before, actually, well before I found the vinyl community, back in the mid-2000s. I got a bunch of CDs of Shadow Stevens also. At good prices. And I have a number of radio transcriptions that I love. And some of them are music-based, like American Top 40, and an interview series, and stuff like that. But one of my favorites, I didn't pull it because I've shown it 2 or 3 times, is the coverage of the Los Angeles earthquake from 1971, February 9th, 1971. The San Fernando Valley's longest day. I've shown that a couple of times. It's all... I'd like to post it, but I think it's still under copyright, and I don't want to get into trouble. KGIL radio news coverage of that horrible earthquake in 1971. That's a grail to me, too. I found that at a yard sale for 50 cents, I think, when I was in high school. And it is fabulous. Another album I never thought I'd have a chance to own on vinyl, I had the download of, is a goofy album, but it's for me, and I am a huge extreme sports fan. When I was growing up, I idolized the Z-Boys. For those of you who don't know who that is, that's Tony Alva, Stacy Peralta, Jay Adams, and a number of the other people part of the Z crew, sponsored by Zephyr skateboards, and they were part of that early revolution. You can see their evolution and how they came to be and what they were about in the documentary Dogtown and Z-Boys and the fictional show Lords of Dogtown. I was into skateboarding. I still am. I still watch it every year. I've got my favorites. But there was a band. They were all students at the Performing Arts High School in New York, the Fame School, in 1975. And they happened to get heard by one of the people that were at the school, and they passed their names on to a family friend who happened to be Phil Margo. Phil Margo is one of the Tokens. Phil and Mitch Margo are producers of a lot of stuff, and they produced this album. I came across it. I had found it when I was doing an Extreme Sports Week on my website back in 2000 or 1999, somewhere in there. Or maybe it was 2009, 2010. I think it was later, yeah. And found a song that they had done and put it on there. And then I found the whole album and I downloaded it. I never dreamed I would actually have the chance to buy the album, let alone a white label promo. And it was only $5. 1975's Skateboarding USA by Sneakers and Lace. I've shown this before. White label promo on Pickwick Pip. These are basically skateboard versions of some of the top sounding songs. The funniest thing, and I will maintain this, the best song on the album is Sidewalk Convoy, which I brought up. That was what I played that week. Sidewalk Convoy is a skateboard version of C.W. McCall's Convoy, and it is absolutely hilarious. And these guys are good, too. The other two I'm going to talk about, I never dreamed I'd ever have a chance to get. In fact, they had slipped from my mind, even though I loved 2 of the members of this band and have a ton of other albums by them. It was during the contest I ran last year that I connected with Rob Scare Music, Robert over there, and he had seen in one of my shows that I was a huge fan of the Alessi twins, Billy and Bobby Alessi. They had released an album or several albums in the late 70s and early 80s, and I have most of those. And he's like, have you ever heard their stuff from their earlier band? And I said, no, I haven't had a chance. I remember reading about it when they were in the teen magazines back in the 70s, but I've never heard it. He's like, my local store has copies of them and they're decent price. Let me send them to you. And I said, sure, but how much? And he's like, no, you don't have to pay me. It's VCLT. So, Robert, thank you so much. I have fallen in love with both of these albums by Barnaby Bye. This is Touch, the second album. And this is Room to Grow, the first album. In addition to Billy and Bobby Alessi there's Pepe Castro and Mike Ricky Ardella. The Alessis are still performing regularly in the New York area, the New Jersey area. At least they were. I think they may have retired in the late 2010s, but they were recording as recently as 2016. These are good. I would call them a cross between... I don't even have to do that. They have a very Three Dog Night vibe about them with a few other bands thrown in. What you might get if you take Three Dog Night and throw a yacht rock vibe in. But they do have some great guitar. Incredible stuff, which is expected when, Pepe Castro is there. He's one of the top session musicians of the 70s. Run, I don't know how many different bands he's been in. But my God, these albums are fantastic. And Rob, thank you so much. I love these. So these became a grail because I didn't know I needed them or wanted them. And I would never want to give them up. He also sent Touch on CD, which was amazing. Thank you again, Robert. There's all kinds of different music I would consider grails. But you're right, Robert. That term is thrown around too much. But like I said, the true grails, the ones that are really, truly grail level, like down on my knees, sobbing level, are out of my price range. I can't reach them. I'm not going to be able to reach them. I'm not going to pay those kind of prices. I know some people are willing to pay, a lot of money for CDs and albums, vinyl. I spent $300 on a Def Leppard book that won't be out until July next month. But it's worth it to me. I can't wait to see it. I've never done that before. But because it is numbered, it is signed, it is totally like a limited edition version. And then there's a mass market version that will be out, actually comes out this month before the limited edition. I've never spent money like that before. And I can't see myself spending $300 or $400 on a CD. I just can't. I can't justify it. I have expenses. We're not exactly poor, but we're not rich by any stretch of the imagination. We have good jobs. We make good money, enough to keep us going, enough to, subsidize my music habit, her book habit, our video game habit. But I could never spend $400 on Boomerang by Hanson. I just couldn't. I'd love to have it, but I couldn't justify it. And I can't justify spending $175 on Koyaanisqatsi, or even if the last time I looked at the Diabolic soundtrack, I think it was down to $70. That might be more, but if it's it's not in the best of shape, I'm not interested. Grails shouldn't be thrown around so much. Those should be saved for the really, really hard to get stuff. And some of this stuff are minor grails. I got them for good price, and for the Barnaby Bye, I got it just because somebody wanted to send them to me. And that's an important part of the vinyl community, and it's an important part of knowing what you're truly into. There's like you said, Robert, there's people who probably have other types of grails. Some people collect the posters of everybody. I don't do that. I collect a few pops. I will go out of my way to get weird pops like this soda can pop of Danger Mouse because I was a huge fan of the show in the 80s. Both Kim and I were. It was terrific. And then I opened it up, and of course, they didn't even bother to give him the right kind of eye. It's not all black. It's supposed to be a white with a black spot, like on the cover, yellow with a black spot. But it was, worth the whatever I paid for it, $20. And I have other pops too, and a few other things that will show up on display. But yeah, grails were thrown around too much. And this has run too long. Robert, I will continue to answer the questions up through number 10, so keep watching for more videos. I'm TC Kirkham. Thanks for watching. Good luck to everybody else in the contest. Have fun answering these like I am. We'll see you soon.